Welcome back to what we would like to call Traitors Night Take here on the TNT channel, because we're doing Traitors Australia for the very first time here on the Nullified Take. We're going to have all the explosive takes. I don't know if any of us will have more explosive takes than some of the contestants themselves, because it has been a great cast so far to observe, watch, dissect, and get behind. And I'm very excited because, you know what? I ended up converting 3 fellow co-hosts here to Traitors fans. None of these 3 watched Traitors, I don't believe, a couple of months ago. And I've been hounding them about the show coming back to Australia. And I said, we need to talk about this. Kahuna, I'm going to come over to you first, as my ride or die for reality TV, the person who does the most other reality TV content here on the channel with me. Are you glad that I converted you to a faithful to the Traitors?
I'm gonna go with the conversion, even though I did watch the season 1 when it first came around. I didn't need
have to blow up my spot. You didn't need to be a traitor on this podcast. Why are you betraying me?
You're very influential, and you're a very influential person. That's for sure.
Please keep going on. What show do you want to host next, Kahuna? Just let me know.
No, the fact that if I didn't need any converting, I'm glad that it happened, because it's a great show, and the fact that it's in that same space that we have of competition reality, which gets all our fires going, but it's not the same vibe. It's a completely different show, different feel. Doesn't have the island, the same level of competition. It's a different game, more psychological, more of that social. And I love the first season, the theming of it, the theatrical of it. Like, I love all of it. So it's a good fun show, and I'm glad you converted me.
Well, Mucky, I know Mucky didn't watch it. I 100% know Mucky didn't watch it because we had conversations about this. But Mucky is now probably the biggest expert when it comes to Traitors, because he's actually got his very own show, The Traitors New Zealand, that he hosts here on the Nullified Take channel. Mucky, you've now seen one show over in New Zealand. You're seeing the Australian show. Is it all blending together for you? And are you having fun with both seasons?
Oh, I'm having so much fun with both seasons, especially because there's so many different strategies, like with both seasons, right? In the New Zealand one, the traders like to stay together, but in the Australian one, they like to bloody go after each other. They're ready to take each other out. And there's a lot more cutthroat. But yeah,
but really I think it comes down to. I think it comes down to the fact that this is the second season over in Australia. So, the floaties are completely off. They're swimming in the deep ocean, and they're trying to survive. They're trying to get back to shore. And Tom, we know, Tom's a big fan. Welcome to the Nullified Take channel of the channel. Now also one of the co-hosts here on the channel, new kid on the block, someone that is situated in Australia, is ingrained within the culture. Tell me, Tom, is this what you come to expect from reality TV when it's a competitive cutthroat game such as Traitors or Survivor, that the stakes are just going to be that much higher? You're going to get big game players like we've seen in these first 2 episodes.
Yeah, look, I'd say big game players. I don't know how sound some of the logic behind the moves are. I've had some interesting takes, that's for sure. Yeah, but I'll leave that for when the episode 2 comes up, maybe. But I've enjoyed it. Yeah, like I'm actually not a huge, I'd say, reality fan. I'm more into games and competition. And that's why I love Survivor so much. I think it's the best game in the world. But no, Traitors definitely has that Survivor-esque feel. I also get Cluedo vibes, and I loved Cluedo as a kid. So I'm enjoying the mansion, sort of the murder,
Yeah, who done it?
Yeah, who done it? Yeah. But good cast so far.
All I'm going to say, if you're going to be throwing some shade tonight here, as the host of this podcast and a massive fan of Annabelle, because I've hosted a show with her before when we did a recap of Brains vs. Brawn a long time ago now, I feel like I should give her the shield in this episode. You're not allowed to throw any shade towards Annabelle. It's only going to be love on this podcast. Plus, she's also been engaging with us quite a bit on Twitter, and is clearly one of the more active people on there. But no, all jokes aside, obviously I love Annabelle, but we'll criticize the good and the bad when we talk about all of the players here on the podcast. And let's start it off with sort of some of the live people here that have jumped in. I wasn't sure how many people would jump into the live here tonight and who are watching. But Andre Lee, I know, has been a big supporter of Muckies on the Traitors New Zealand content. I still have to catch up on that, and at some point I will, I promise. Because I've been hearing good things from Mucky in regards to that season. Danica is back saying, hey guys, I'm at the beach this week and need to catch up. I'm going to rewatch this again after I catch up. That's fair enough, Danica. We always love having you here. And Danica, you're one of the realest supporters because you're on every single live that we do for every single show. And we really appreciate it here. The lives and having people interact with us gives us a lot of energy when it comes to these shows. Andre Lee with a $5 donation. Andre, you're an absolute superstar. I've noticed all the donations as well that you've been given us to the Traitors New Zealand content that we're forming. And all I could say is much love, Andre. Really love the fact that you're supporting us. Your support goes straight back into the channel. I've been able to get both Mucky and Kahuna new mics already, and we're going to continue to add to the quality of the show as we continue to go on here with putting back into the channel. Danica's saying, so we have two Traitors going on. I'm going to get so confused. Yes, that's why, Danica, I know you're watching Traitors New Zealand. I had to stop and watch Traitors Australia only, so I wouldn't get my wires crossed. But Mucky is the true hero because he's on both of them, and he's staying on top of it. Adi here saying, woohoo, finally made it to a TNT live. Hey guys, so excited for the Traitors. Adi, welcome. And welcome to the live. I feel like I've seen you here before, but our times might be a little bit all over the place, especially if you're in the US. Jonathan says, floaties are off, but they still fall for an easy take. Yeah, there was a few interesting things that happened here. And the Traitors, it's an interesting dynamic of the show, and we'll probably get into it a little bit later on, but the Traitors have got all the power, really, in the game, because they've got all the knowledge. And the Faithfuls coming into this game, they have to do it all. Now, I've watched all of the Traitors seasons, similar to Annabelle. I'm not going to say that I'm as good at the strategy side of it as Annabelle is on some of the stuff that she's doing already, and she's clearly smart at what she's doing, listening to all of the podcasts and the takes out there. But watching it, it's interesting to finally see one of the best players we've ever seen in reality TV come back to play this game, and Luke Toki. He comes back very early on, and they could have gone two ways with him, Tom. They could have either made Luke a traitor, which would have been amazing to see because he's got that villainous, thing about him. He's just really good at playing that lovable villain. But they didn't go the obvious route here, and they made him a faithful. Are you happy with that decision? And how do you feel about Luke coming into this game? What is his chances?
Yeah, look, I thought his chances were good coming into it, but I mean, after the second episode, I'm feeling less confident, and people think, oh, you're an actor, you've played Survivor, you must be a traitor, and I'm thinking, So yeah, I think overall, like, people are just finding easy excuses to throw at random people, such as Luke, but I think he'll claw back. I think he'll definitely claw back and provide some great entertainment coming up in the next few weeks.
So Kahuna, I had to think about this. Luke coming into this game, he was going to have a massive target on his back regardless. So far, it looks like Annabelle, she had the biggest reaction. She was having that reaction I would have had if I saw the king of the jungle himself walk in there. No one else has really reacted in the same way. So I don't know if they just didn't show it, or if there maybe isn't that many other Survivor fans out there that are playing the game. But what's Luke's strategy here? For me personally, I feel like, if I was out there, how would I navigate someone like Luke? You could either vote him out immediately, or, even if you think he's a traitor, you keep him in the game because most likely he's going to get banished before you. At some point, I'm wondering why people aren't looking at him as a meat shield at this early stage in the game. Do you think that is Luke's best strategy at the moment?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I want to see how it plays out because I'm getting the vibe that Luke is reverting back to Survivor gameplay. And there was, we're going to talk about second episode versus first episode, etc. But we'll go back.
By the way, let me just put this out there for anybody listening. We're going to talk about episode 2 and 1 together here. So if you need to jump forward, jump into it.
So there was a moment in episode 2 where he's talking about numbers and trying to get numbers on his side, and I felt like he's approaching it like it is Survivor. Like, I need to get numbers, as opposed to I need to get out specific people and find out who they are. He's trying to get the numbers on his side to get the vote. But I do think that he was trying to get the numbers and using his Survivor instincts and Survivor skills to move the votes towards what he wanted to do. So I think he's not just doing it from a pure numbers strategy perspective, who he can get on side, but he has what he thinks is the right choice in mind for the traitors, and then uses his survivor skills. So he's really set up, because once you get something in mind, like I have this idea or I'm picking up on this, he's not necessarily above anyone else as far as being able to work out who the traitors are. But once he has an idea in mind, he can leverage his skills and his popularity, his social. We see him already making a ton of friends and using that to get the votes to go his way. So he's set up well if he can keep that going.
Interesting observation. And I feel like when we're talking about the numbers and that scramble, it happens between him and who we know is a traitor, Sam, in the game. Obviously, I think Sam himself has been set up really well, but in my opinion, he's overplaying his hand massively at this stage in the game so early on, making waves. Now, is it entertaining TV to watch? 100%. But he was in this car ride next to Annabelle and also Luke Toki himself, who are both power players in the game. He already has their trust, but potentially, Mucky, he's playing very aggressively from the start. What do you think of Sam's gameplay and the fact that he is one of these traitors that gets selected?
You know, you guys say that he's overplaying. I think he's underplaying. I think he should be like, you know what, guys? I'm a traitor. I know that, you know, Ash is a traitor. I know this person's a traitor. And just go full ham. Because why not, right? No, but in all seriousness, though, he is definitely overplaying way too hard, you know? And I think it's something where, you know, it's hard when you're a traitor, because something that's happened in the New Zealand one is that some people sort of act like, oh, I don't really know what's going on. And then they've been caught out as being a traitor, or they won't really give out too many names. It's like, oh, they've been caught out as a traitor. So I feel like you've got to find that perfect mix of actively trying to hunt out for people to be traitors. And obviously there comes a point in time where maybe you do need to give up an actual traitor, but that's, you know, much later down the road, and not, you know, the second banishment of the of the season. Of the season. But no, I love Sam, though. I think like he's
great casting,
a terrific traitor. I feel like if he was a faithful, like, he would be, I mean, it should be entertaining, but he wouldn't have like as much drama and power behind it. But the fact that he is a traitor and he's trying to pull off all these different moves, like, it's just fantastic to watch.
Yeah.
I love it.
You know, Sam the gunslinger traitor, you know, on this season, one of the best scenes from this first week was when they selected the traitors and he did the gun signs while everybody was blindfolded. I absolutely lived for that moment. This is the kind of theatrics that really gets the juices flowing for me when I'm watching my reality TV. Tom, you know, coming into this as a newer school fan of Traitors, what did you think of the selection process, how it took place, and would you be able to keep a straight face if Roger selected you and he tapped you on the shoulder when those blindfolds came out? You know, how would you have felt in that moment? Because I feel like not everybody's got a poker face.
Well, I mean, I'm super like reactory. I don't know. I'm very flinchy and stuff. So I feel like if I'm just like there, like I can't see anything, and someone just taps me on the shoulder, I'd probably do like one of these or something. But when I saw him do the guns, I'm thinking, how good are these blindfolds? Like what if someone could like see in the corner of their eye, just like this guy doing this, and like,
or you feel this movement next to you, like
yeah,
I was like,
it's just, I thought it was like really, I thought it was entertaining, but yeah, I definitely like laughed at that moment, but. Yeah, I mean, I literally knew nothing about this game going into it, so I didn't know if they were going to, like, go into a room and be like, you're a traitor or not, kind of thing. I like how they did it. I thought it was really cool. I like the different reactions.
When I saw the finger guns, Chris, I was like...
Yeah.
I couldn't... So, first of all, Sam did that thing, right, which I hate, which we see on Survivor a lot, where, like, I'm so sneaky and devious, I'm going to tell them I have a different job. Like, that does anything. He's a bloody marketing consultant. I get when like the undercover cop or the federal agent and stuff like that, maybe they keep it a little bit on the down low. But a marketing consultant that travels the world taking photos and videos and stuff, and he's got 100% that 80s like snow movie villain vibe. Like,
yeah. Does he have like a little bit of main character syndrome coming into this?
But the villain though, like he was literally wearing like a varsity jacket, and the way he talks, what he's wearing, and all that.
He's a farm boy,
and he goes, "I'm a horse farmer." Like what? Get out of here! But what I do love about it, I'm just like, he's ridiculous. He's doing finger guns. He's like
We love him.
plotting
Like, we
against
love him.
traitors. What I love though, and I'm sorry to take over, but I took my host notes, Chris. I want to get something in there.
Go
You
for
know
it.
what I mean?
Go for it.
All the characters are like insane. Like not insane, like like just really great out there,
Entertaining.
almost exaggerated. Like they almost feel like fiction. Like if you were writing a murder mystery movie, you would have the hipster dude with the beard. You would have the flamboyantly gay muscle guy with that wears pink, and the dancer guy, and you have like it's almost like Ash and Guyton, who one's a multi-time reality TV star, like that's her job. It said reality star, and then another one's an award-winning actor, and they're almost like the most normal level people in the group. Like even there's a guy who's like, of course, on a TV show where you've got all these people that are going to be like up for a murder, you've got a guy who's like a Navy bomb disposal person who's got his leg and arm bitten off by a shark. It's like you can't even write this stuff, and we have it all in the house, and it's amazing. Annabelle doing the like Legally Blonde Barbie sparkly queen thing. It feels so exaggerated.
Sarah,
you have to have all these tropes.
The clinical psychologist that does the most
with the quirky
the
glasses. Like it's not just a normal clinical psychologist. Like the quirky glasses, the short, like they're just very out there characters, and I'm all for it. I was like living for. Like I was like, this is amazing. I don't know if I might have been a little bit too under the influence when I was watching something, but I was very happy seeing all those wild characters being out, like just larger than life.
Yeah, I mean Simone, the professional wrestler,
yeah,
with the best
like
in the game.
A redheaded bombshell happens to also be like everything just seems. Come on, this isn't real. It's so like fictional characters, but
they hit
genuine.
It out of the freaking park. I mean, even a guy like Roja, who didn't play the biggest role in the first 2 episodes, he had one of the best one-liners where he's like, of course you don't want to be the guy that gets voted out on the first night, and then you're remembered as the one that wore the blue shirt for the rest of your life, you know? And then when I look at the wiki on Traitors fandom, he's wearing the blue shirt. So if people go back and look at the wiki down the line, they're always going to remember him as the guy with the blue shirt, which I'm sure is going to grind his gears, Tom. I know you're a fashionable guy. Would that have been something
Not right now? Look
what
what I'm wearing.
I know. You're casual right now, man, but how much time would go into your wardrobe before you go out there and play the Traitors?
Oh yeah, you have to because I want to play Survivor. Obviously, I'm definitely thinking about like my wardrobe if I ever went on one of these shows. You got to be like iconic, like Boston Rob's hat, or like David Gannett's like scarf thingy that he wore in All Stars. You know,
yeah.
Like yeah.
The sarong, is that what they called it?
Yeah, sarong, and they were paying him out for it when he's like a fashion model, but he couldn't dress himself.
Or you just got to do what Luke does, and you just steal everybody's clothes and you start wearing it. That's how they should know that he's not the traitor. If he was a traitor, he would be wearing the clothes of the people that he murdered in the game. And by the way, you know, for those YouTube algorithms out there that's listening to this, it's a game. It's not real life, because we got hit for that on Traitors New Zealand. Which makes the show very difficult to even cover on YouTube, because how do you talk around it?
Unalived.
Yeah,
that's the internet thing these days.
You get cancelled for everything these days.
They magically disappeared.
Yeah, they just magically disappeared. They went to sleep and never came back, basically. But yeah, like you said there, Kuna, such an amazing cast. I mean, we haven't even spoken about Ash, who also ends up becoming one of the traitors here in the first week. And she is someone that has been on a lot of shows. Now, obviously, I'm not from Australia originally, so I didn't realize what her background was. But the original, she's saying she's the original reality TV person that's been on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, All Stars, Family Feud, Behave Yourself. I believe there's a bunch of stuff probably that's not even credited to her on IMDb. But what a great casting choice there as well. And Kahuna, like her facial reactions, like the close-ups they're getting on her, she's the perfect traitor, isn't she?
She's so like I had a feeling, knowing, like watching the US version as well, Chris. I was like, they're definitely going to pick at least one, if not multiple ones of the, in air quotes, celebrities that they bring on. Like, there's no point in having an Ash and a Luke Toki and stuff like that on if you're not going to use them in some way. So the fact that Luke Toki was probably the more obvious choice. Ash able to play, like Andre Lee said, started in My Kitchen Rules. I watched her on My Kitchen Rules, and she got super famous because she was basically like a bitch on the show. She was the one that like caused a lot of issues with her partner and stuff. They were the ones that were very rude and snappy about cooking. Then she went on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, and she was really good on that. I liked her. I was like, she's very relatable. She's quite again, like it feels weird to give a compliment, but she's normal. She seems like she can get along with people, but still have that fire that's needed for reality TV, and she's definitely got that there. Because as I said, she kind of got famous for being a bit bitchy on My Kitchen Rules, but yeah, she's a perfect pick. She seems to be switched on, and when you mentioned earlier that Sam was kind of doing some sneaky Sam stuff behind, she picked up on it. Like she tweaked what was going on and asked him to his face what's happening. Like he got past it and stuff. Maybe we'll see if that comes back, but she seems switched on. She seems like a very good choice. And although there was suspicion from the start, she seems to be managing it pretty well with the relationships as well.
Yeah, interesting to me was the fact, Mucky, that Sarah, the clinical psychologist, she's the one who kind of, first she threw the wrong name out there, and we'll talk about, Peyton and Elias and the drama that happened with that. But she was also one of the first people to pick up on Ash as a potential traitor, right? So she seems to, it seems to work. Whatever she's doing seems to work out there. The problem is she doesn't have much credibility, and people don't trust her right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to have the right reads, right? But it's another thing on your sort of history in the game, right? So we see her have the read on Ash, and that's a spot on read. It's a fantastic read. But she then goes around and spreads a lot of drama between a lot of people, loses that trust. So then when she does get the right reads, like, why should we trust you? You've already talked, so much drama. You've already made up, a couple lies already, or, misheard, information and spreaded that around like it's, cotton candy in a kindergarten. But it's, like history in the game is so important, right? Because that's how you get your credibility and your influence, right? Because
Yeah, I agree with you. And one of the things for me that's interesting, sort of segueing into that drama that she caused, obviously, Payton speaks to Sarah, apparently, allegedly, after they select the traitors, and says that he believes Elias is one of the traitors. And she goes and tells everyone this when he didn't really say that. It was what he said was something a little bit different to that, just that, he was behind us for quite a long time. It was probably a red herring, or they moved on. Somehow Sarah gets that wrong, which creates so much heat for Payton in the game. And I believe she's tanked his game at this point, because Payton goes around and he's frantic, he's panicking, and people can clearly see this guy is not lying because of the way that he's acting, and this makes him an even bigger target right now for the traitors in the game, Tom, because we know that he's on potentially the chopping block moving into episode 3, because as a traitor, you want to keep people in the game that you legitimately know people are going to come after, like a Luke Toki. Why would they kill Luke Toki right now? Luke Toki needs to be banished because they know people are going to think he's potentially a traitor. But Payton, on the other hand, who's been so open about the fact that, he's not a traitor and is freaked out, and people can see the genuine fear in his face. His game is kind of sunk right now. So how would you react correctly? What would have been the right move for Payton in that moment when his name started getting thrown out there? Because obviously he addressed it with Elias directly, which I think is a good thing. And he also got Sarah in there, all 3 people at the same time. But, what could he have done differently to find that middle balance of getting the heat off him, but also not creating this fear from the traitors? Because traitors, the game itself, in my opinion, is a little bit skewed in the traitors' favor, because there's not much that traitors need to do except for sitting back and creating chaos. So that's my biggest issue with traitors, is the fact that they don't do more. They don't sabotage the challenges to get more hints out there or something. Like, how are people supposed to get these traitors, and how is Payton supposed to get the heat off him without giving too much away?
Yeah, well, Payton honestly reminds me a bit of, I've forgotten that. I think it's Matt, first boot of season 3 of Aussie Survivor.
The traffic cop, right?
Yeah, Traffic Cop. I loved his little intro package where he's like acting like he's saving the world, and he's like, "You're doing 60 in a 50 zone, mate. That's not on." But no, originally it was meant to be Sneaky Steve, my hero, Muckies too, as the boot.
What did I do, Kuna?
I thought of multiple ways to get him in today. Don't you worry. But, yeah, like all this guy had to do was shut up, and then he just blew up his game at tribal council. And I feel like Peyton's a bit the same. Like the second something comes his way, like he just can't handle like the pressure. But all he has to do is just sit back and go like, no, it's not me. Like have calm one-on-one conversations with people, maybe just to like reaffirm and like show how trustworthy he is. You know, I mean, because it was Sarah throwing his name out, and I mean, Sarah didn't seem like the most, I guess, trustworthy source of information, like from what I could tell.
No.
So, yeah, I thought it was like he just had to sit back and relax.
Yeah, so obviously, you know, Peyton struggling. I think, like, I would be shocked if Peyton isn't the next person murdered, because why keep someone in the game that clearly is a faithful, that clearly, you know, can rally maybe numbers now because people now know that they can rally around him, unless he's played the worst Traitors game in the history of the show. You know, you got to kind of get rid of this guy, in my opinion, at this stage, unless you really want to throw them in a different direction, which they've done very effectively. And we'll talk about the first person that they removed from the game very soon. But before that, we haven't really touched on any of the challenges. Now, when it comes to challenges in Traitors, my criticism last season, and I didn't cover it on the podcast last season or on the show here, but my criticism last season was the fact that challenges felt like it didn't mean much, because they're going to get $250,000 by the end of this, regardless. You know, they're going to make a way to get more money in there, and it's going to be $250K. So, you know, it's semantics having the silver bars out there and saying you're doing 30K this episode or 40K. It's still a bit of a criticism that I have. But one thing I will say, Kahuna, that I really am enjoying, and you watched last season, is the fact that they're bringing the shield in earlier. So at least there is an element of safety now that someone can get. It took a long time in the first season, and this is something that they stole, I believe, from the UK version of the show, where the shield was immediately available in the team challenges in that season as well. So has that fixed it for you, or do you still think that there's a little bit more they can do on these challenges to up the stakes? Because in my opinion, there probably is.
Yeah, it's definitely a show where it's unlike other shows like Survivor not as much, but shows like The Challenge, $1 Million Island, we saw 100% was very focused on the physical challenges. They made it a big part of the show, and I've never felt that on the Traitors the challenge is the primary thing. It's kind of a secondary thing to build the part, where the real game is the interactions, is the Cluedo of it all. Like they're trying to figure it out, and you get a lot of shots and a lot of time on the little interactions and the milling about. And the challenges, although not primary to the whole thing of the show, they end up being a bit of fun. They end up being a test of communication and teamwork and all that sort of thing. And it can bring out the stress of challenges, the physical difficulty, the tiredness. It can let a traitor slip in some of the things they say. It can bring out like the stress of it, maybe brings out the snapping and drama and tension and that sort of thing. So I think it adds in that level of thing, because it just adds another level of complexity to the social game. But the social game is definitely the important thing. As far as
question for you.
Yep.
Question for you on that. While you're on that train of thought, if you were out there and you're playing this game and you realize that someone is horrible at the challenges and they're losing you money, would you consider voting them out, even if you thought they weren't a traitor, just because you want to get that bag in the next episode? Because, you know, that's the kind of stuff that I probably would do. If I saw someone struggling and I wanted to get some more money, I'd be like, hey, this person's lagging behind. I don't know if they're going to help me get to $250,000. Do you think that's going to be something that people will take into consideration later on in the game?
I mean, if you're a traitor, for sure, right? Like, you're trying to build that pot and make sure that and if it's a faithful, then definitely an easy get rid of, right? They're dragging down the money, they're dragging down the team in that regard, and it's another thing. But yeah, like I don't know, like it's an interesting choice on how you justify. I like what you said before, Chris. I think in a game like this that is very much skewed towards the Traitors, I don't know what, like, I'm watching the show and I was trying to, you know how you do that thing where you try to put yourself in their shoes? And I'm going, if I was there, what are you actually looking at? What do you see that gives you any sort of clue as to who a traitor actually is? Because you're right, there's no sabotages, there's nothing that they have to, there's no missions that they need to complete. Yeah, there's nothing, they're just competing as per normal, be quiet, and no one will possibly know anything, right? Like, so I find that
Sam's hanging himself. Sam's hanging himself, which is what we said earlier. But
I think that's why a challenge can add that extra level of like randomness. Like you don't know what might happen on the challenge and stuff like that. Like we've seen like in season 1, the Angus and Nigel attempted drowning when they were on the challenge.
Yes,
And that
yes.
kind of brought some tension into the traitor fold, right? And people
Yeah.
like
And
Angus
Nigel
looks
was
like
on
a
everybody's
traitor.
radar.
Yeah,
And Nigel as
exactly.
well.
Yeah. And that really adds, so maybe that's part of the motivation of it. And when you've got, like, if you're going to have a challenge, as I said, it's not as physically competitive. They're not doing things against each other. There's no tackling games or like, you know, anything like, there's no physical endurance type things. It's a lot of teamwork, communication, and they kind of make things, I think anyway, in the first challenge with the 2 Trojan horses that you set on fire and send crashing through a wall, like that's a visual spectacle. Almost like Chris on the challenge, how we get ones that it's not about the challenge itself, it's that it looks really nice on TV and big explode. Yeah. And I think that one kind of, maybe the flame wasn't as big as it could have been once they sent it flying down the hill, but it was a good looking one with these 2 giant horses, pick up all the stuff. So I dig it. It's a fun element, but it's not key to the show.
Yeah, shout out to Paul, who absolutely dominated that first challenge, you know, pulling that Trojan horse up there. The guy has lost his arm, he's lost a leg, you know, being a Navy bomb diffuser or something like that, diver, and going in there being attacked by a shark. I can only imagine how that would put you back, you know, and this guy's got the best attitude in life. You know, get up, get on with it, go to work. And that's that Navy SEAL, Navy type of training mentality that he clearly still has. And, you know, he didn't give up. They were behind that team, red team, and he ended up pulling that up. One of the other things I noticed that was quite funny in the first challenge was that 3 out of the 10 people in the red team were traitors. Obviously, at this point, they didn't know who the other traitors were in the game, but that meant that there was a 30% chance that one of them would get the shield. But the best bit of sort of, I guess, strategy comes at the point where they have to go to the armory. And before we get into that, go for it.
Can I just, I'm trying to do my memory bank scans like Matrix style. I'm trying to remember what it was, but I think the shield is actually different this year than last season. It's less powered.
Really?
I thought that's what, didn't last year they have the shield challenge? Like they had to do an additional challenge to then actually.
They did have to do it. Yeah, they had to do an additional one, and whoever won the individual challenge would get it. But this time it is a random draw with having to open the boxes, which is similar to what the UK did.
And the US. So this one is immunity from murder. When they won the challenge, because there's an additional level of difficulty, it actually gives you immunity from the murder and then the next banishment as well.
Yeah, it could. I thought it was also. I thought it was also from banishment, but you're right. They did clarify and said no, it's only from murder that you get saved, because when Guy was in trouble, he said that, you know, at the end of the day, I need not to get banished. So the murder side of it is not a big problem, or, you know, getting removed from the game for YouTube. Dude, welcome back to the live stream. Really appreciate the $1 there that you've given us, for in case this video does get absolutely flagged by YouTube, which is possible because of some of the terms being used in this game. So really appreciate it. Hope you're doing well, by the way, Dude. I saw you this weekend. I think we were talking about the challenge, and you dropped in for a hot second and then bounced back out, and I couldn't respond. It just there wasn't an opportunity because it was popping off in the live. But I appreciate you jumping in every now and again, and it's good to see you back here on the channel. We haven't seen you since Australian Survivor, I believe, so glad to have you back here in the live. But getting back to some of the questions here that's being asked. Andre's asking, what position would you guys have chosen, clearing or pulling? I would have done good with both, I think. So I would have been happy to do whatever the team needed me to do at that point. But, you know, Kahuna, what would you have done? Would you have done the clearing or pulling?
No, I'm pulling for sure. Like I'm less running and standing still using weight and strength and leverage. That's where my skills would be, as opposed to running up and down a hill.
Mucky's good at clearing a room and not good at pulling. So I feel like, you know, Mucky would be clearing.
What?
Tom, what would you have been doing?
Is there a third option where I could just stand there and do nothing?
I feel like Tom would be good at pulling, so I'd put him on pulling.
I like to clear, you know. I like to just do the running part. That's fun for me. That's my go-to.
It's good to have you back here, Dude. So much fun here on the podcast as we're getting through the Traitors content. I do want to get to the armory. And the armory, I want to give a shout out to Roger, who for me personally, I've not seen Paul Henry do his bit for Traitors New Zealand, but Roger, man, this guy is brilliant as a host. Like, he really lives, eats, and sleeps this role as host. I mean, he's so actively involved, which is something that's very different on Traitors. It's required of the Traitors host to be an active part of the show and to really, give you that aura that you're in this house of murder mystery, which he does exceptionally well. And he's got such a great sense of humor. I mean, even at the Banishment, when you had Guy say, I'm an award-winning actor, and he's like, well, lucky for some, just the quickness of that, to be able to get
and
that
then
in there.
the second Banishment as well. Liam was like, I'm so glad to have met an actor in Guyton.
Yeah.
And Roger's standing there going, hello.
Thank you.
Like,
and also, and also he took stabs at podcasters. He says, well, we're going to banish someone, and there goes another podcast that no one ever asked for. And I was like, Roger,
or 19
that's
of them.
For.
He's very good. I have a very special place in my heart for Roger Corser. He's done a lot of TV in Australia, which probably not a lot of people watch, but I did. Rush in 2008 was Sergeant Lawson Blake. He's amazing. And he was also, his first acting job was the Australian production of Rent in 1998. And I went and saw that, and Roger played Roger. And to this day, however many, 25 years later, he just holds that special place in my heart. He was in Rent, my favorite musical, and now he's just hamming it up as the Traitors host, and it's so great.
I really badly want Traitors to do well this season. I haven't had the opportunity to look at the ratings. I don't know if any of you have been able to look at the ratings. Maybe Kahuna, I'll get you to look that up in the background while we talk about this here. But I really hope that the ratings will increase this season and that it does well. And we're going to convert them one at a time, because Chadud here in the live is saying, I haven't watched the Traitors yet. Is it recommended as a Survivor lover? Well, good thing is we've got 2 Survivor lovers, well, 4 Survivor lovers here, but 2 super big fans that have applied for the show in the past, which we'd love to see both of them get on there. Tom, what would you say? Is it recommended for a Survivor lover to give Traitors a chance?
Yeah, I think 100%. I've enjoyed it so far, and I think it's the best substitute, I suppose, to Survivor if that's your go-to show. I think it's got like the most similar kind of strategy components out of reality TV. So yeah, 100%.
There you go. And Mucky, what would you say? Because you're basically talking about both New Zealand and Australian Traitors, so you're all in right now.
All I gotta say, it's very bold of you to assume that I was not on Australian Survivor. Just a bit of a cheeky tease, maybe.
No,
yeah, I'd say it's really.
I feel like Chadud was on, because Chadud just went missing for a couple of months, and suddenly he's back. So Chadud, I feel like you may have been on Survivor, and we just don't know about it yet.
Yeah, maybe we're both on.
Oh,
Final 2.
First, second boot.
More likely.
No,
all right. Behave, Mucky. What do you feel? Do you feel like people should watch it?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's a fantastic show. I mean, I haven't seen the American or the UK version, or I've only seen a few episodes of the first season, but of Australian Traitors, but not all of it. But so far I'm loving it. I'm not sure how the in-game sort of goes just yet, but so far, yeah, you've got your strategy. In the New Zealand one, there's just such great characters all around. Like, everyone is super entertaining, and this one, everyone is super entertaining as well. And yeah, as Tom said, it's
casting really is.
Survivor.
Casting is really all of it. And again, this brings up, and I hate to compare it. I honestly hate to compare it, but you got to do it. Both Kahuna and Mucky had this argument towards the end of Heroes versus Villains that you just can't get 24 great casting choices on a season. And that's why they have to give 80% of the content to George and Simon and Haley, because just, Australia doesn't have the characters. Tom, we're watching this season. There's a lot of great characters. There's not many duds. Does this prove that you can get good casting for shows like Australian Survivor in the future?
Yeah, 100%. And I think like there are some, I wouldn't say duds because they haven't had a chance to shine. Like, I may have not known who the first person who got murdered was until the second episode and during the recap. But apart from that, I think everyone
She was
else
a lawyer.
A lawyer? Yeah. I didn't know she was there, so I felt sorry for. I don't even know the name of the person. I'm so sorry.
Angelica.
Angelica. Yeah, but no. Apart from that, I feel like it was really strong, and I love a lot of the cast, even if one of my favorites has already been eliminated, which is a bit painful.
Who was that? Elias.
No. So my cousin is married to Guyton Grantley's brother, so I was rooting
right.
for him and Luke, and so episode 2 was rough for me. Yeah.
Gee, so quickly. And I mean, Guyton just right from the start, people were taking shots at him. They were saying, you're an actor, you would know how to, behave in this situation. And I was wondering, like, because we heard the whole season when Pia was playing how much power there is in being an actress. Is that something that people took to heart if there were Survivor fans coming into this? Luke played with Pia. Did that put an extra target on Guyton as well? Because he didn't trust him at all after the season that he played with Pia previously. Did that did that play into the thinking here? Kahuna, make some sense of this. And while you've got the mic as well, let us know if you saw anything in regards to the ratings.
Yeah, ratings. It's soft. It's not great. It started Sunday night anyway. Was 216,000. After debuting last season with 257,000. So it's gone backwards from season 1. And we also know that season 1 was not particularly great for Channel 10, that they renewed it despite that. But that, like, we heard $1 Million Island just coming off that. That's why I keep bringing it up. But hosting that, I think they were in the 400s pretty consistently. And the fact that the Traitors debuted at 216 is not a good sign.
Yeah, it's tough. And I mean, should we orchestrate a writer's strike over here in Australia as well, just so we can get more of our reality TV coming up, because they're doing wonders for us over there in the US right now.
Yeah, we're going to get it anyway, regardless. I think we're going to get a lot of reality TV because of that fact alone. So, yeah. What was the other question? Sorry. So I apologize.
So Guyton, obviously, he was an actor coming into the show. People started to fire him very early on. What could he have done differently? Where did it go horribly wrong for him? And do you feel like someone as powerful as Luke, as charismatic as Luke coming into this game, not trusting him, really, was the thing that was going to get him eliminated always? And how much of Pia did he see in Guyton? Because obviously Pia is an actress who did extremely well in the season that he played with.
Look, I'm not sure about what Luke's motivation and thought process is as far as relating to Pia and past experiences there. There might be a little bit of leftover, like PTSD from losing and seeing Pia win. So he might have that built-in thing about untrustworthiness with actors. But I don't think Guyton necessarily did much wrong at all. Like that first banishment, like they talk, like the whole episode was about Sarah, Payton, and Elias. And then all of a sudden, Elias is like, what about Guyton? He acts. And people were like, yeah, Like, I think it was what we were saying before, that there's so little to grasp onto. Almost like in the first couple episodes of Survivor, where they make their decision almost based on like, oh, they annoyed me in camp with the way they were cooking, or like, you're looking for anything. You're trying to just find, what can I choose to influence my decision? And Elias throwing out that the guy's an actor, I guess, is as good as anything else, because when you don't have a lot of things to build any theories off of, you're just grasping at straws. And a lot of the theories early on seem to be pretty like weak. Like, well, he's an actor, he'd make a great one. Like, even the one with the Luke. Like, what was the whole thing with Luke as well? Like,
it's a previous Survivor. Yeah,
like,
so he knows how to be devious.
Like, Luke is not Luke and Guyton are not necessarily a bad decision. If Annabelle said, I've watched every single version of this show, and when they have the celebrities on, they always choose one. I think we should aim for one of these people because it makes a lot of sense, right? There's logic behind that. There's a thought process. I've seen that you're making that decision based on some sort of input, rather than going, well, he's an actor. And Elias said it and he's gone now. So therefore, if Elias called him out and Elias is gone, Guyton must be the traitor. Like, it's
but it's
so,
too obvious.
Like, it's so toddler thinking. Like, it's obviously not him, because he would not do it to cast light on himself as the traitor. But I don't know. It seems to happen that way.
You're speaking my language.
To me, it's so obvious. Tom, go. Let us know what you thought about that strategy.
He said toddler. I was going to say like 8-year-old. So yeah, but like it was honestly so. But if I was Gaiden, and maybe he did say this and just didn't make the cut, but I would have said, I would have explained it like that. Why would I murder Elias? Elias? That's his name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Elias.
Elias, if like everyone knows he's the one who threw heat on me, like that's just like such an obvious mistake for me to make as a traitor. Clearly, the traitors are trying to frame me. You're all plebs, and then drop the mic, and just honestly. Dead set. It's like it really annoyed me that the end of that episode. But yeah.
It was so obvious, and I felt like Luke. It's interesting to see a guy like Luke not be a traitor, because we had Suri come back, and I've compared Luke to Suri a lot on the podcast, where I said he's got a social game that can match someone like Suri, and I stand by that. We even saw it in this episode, him working the room, being friends with everyone, which again is putting a target on him, because people are saying he's too good at this game. He's done it too often. He knows what he's doing. If he is a traitor, he's going to get in good with everyone and then go to the end game. But Luke, so far, when it comes to finding out who the traitors are, he's struggling with that. It's clearly a different skill set that is now required from him, one that he hasn't been tested on yet. And it's interesting to see, a great player not get all the power of a traitor, because he's calling himself like a shark in the water. He can smell traitor blood and he'll be able to sniff it out. We haven't seen that yet. So the jury's still out on if Luke can actually play an effective season, or Mucky, if Luke is going to be that weapon that the traitors are going to weaponize within the game to end up to keep people guessing and to keep them in sort of, la la land when it comes to who the traitors are.
Well, I actually thought that he was going to figure it out, because when Sam comes to him and it's like, no, I've got everyone on Ash. We're doing Ash. You're fine. Like, he was not giving any real reason to why he thinks Ash is potentially a traitor. He's just like,
because Luke was asking him.
Yeah, exactly. But I think, and maybe this comes into predictions for next episode, I think Luke is going to figure out that Sam is actually a traitor and that he dubbed Ash to be a traitor as well, because we even see that scene where he tells Ash, like across the table as well. So I think while Luke, when it comes to,
I think there's a dynamic. I think you're halfway to the truth here, and obviously we can only go by the edited show for those that have actually been out there. But when you look at the show and you look at that conversation happening there, I think he knew something was off, which is why he didn't want to follow Sam into that vote.
Yeah.
But the three people, and I don't know how much weight is behind this, the three people who came into the game together were Sam, Luke, and Annabelle. And I feel like there's a bond that formed between the three of them very early on. Knowing Luke, he probably would have worked that car a little bit with both of them. So Sam felt comfortable enough to go to Luke to propose this in the first place. And we see conversations between Annabelle and Sam about making this move on Ash, and him in the middle of the banishment shaking his head to Annabelle saying, no, the move's not on. And she ends up not pulling the trigger either. So the whole thing with Annabelle being a fan of Luke's, I feel like he'll need to get Annabelle on board with the Sam move if it was going to happen. Because I feel like there's something between the three of them there that potentially formed very early on that is making it very difficult for them to make the move. I do want to go back to the armory just before we go on, because I have not had an opportunity to talk about this. At the end of the day, we had Annabelle say that she's this big fan of Traitors. She's seen all the shows. Clearly that knowledge came into play in the first armory. Because when the red team went in there and they all came out, she said, if you got the shield, don't tell anyone, because that way all of us will be safe and the traitors will have to put their vote on someone on the other side if they wanted to get rid of someone, which is great strategic play, Tom. But is she also putting her neck out there a little bit too much too early on, because now people know that she's a player? She's come to play. Is she doing the double bluff? Is she playing 4D chess as a traitor saying that? Or is she definitely not a traitor because she's trying to prevent them from doing it? But most importantly, is she a little bit too smart for the game?
I think, well, she definitely is very smart. Like you can see it. But yeah, she's showing her cards, I think, a bit too much, and just like maybe just like really enthusiastic about the opportunity. I know I would be if I was on one of these shows. So yeah, I think she needs to like maybe keep it quiet a bit. Maybe not wear her pajamas to breakfast as much. Just like keep it cool. I think Yeah, like did you guys notice she was the only one wearing her pajamas to breakfast? Like I'm sorry, that was like really. I was like, what?
When Elias came in, I was like,
Hey.
"Are they pajamas too?" I wasn't quite sure. He was bordering. There's
Well,
some
like,
brave
really-
choices.
Annabelle
There's
was.
actually, oh, sorry. After you, Tom. After you.
I was saying Annabelle was pretending she was in the Barbie movie instead of our Traitors.
Because in the New Zealand Traitors, there was a lot of trust formed because these two guys had the exact same style of pajamas, and they said, "Okay, I know this guy's not going to be a traitor if he comes to breakfast wearing the same the same pajamas." And yeah,
Didn't work for Elias this time around. The pajama alliance never happened. But yeah, I mean, listen, you can, we're all just living in Annabelle's world right now. Like, I feel like there's, like we said that Sam's got a little bit of main character syndrome. I think Annabelle is the main character right now, and
100%.
the longer she is in with the comments that she's made, like for instance, the one-liner of about the traitors saying that you don't want to startle your enemy, you want to get in bed with them and then sort of strangle them or something like that.
yeah.
Get the knife.
It's just brilliant. Like she's like Annabelle has prepared her whole life to get onto one of these shows. She's a massive fan. She watches all of the Survivor shows. She's one of us, and she got the opportunity to go out there and play. So I know I'm being a little bit critical of the fact that she showed her cards very early on, but also this is the first banishment. She's badly wanting safety, not to be the first person to go home. We all know that that's the biggest fear for us as fans. If we were ever to get out there on a show like this, we wouldn't want to be the first person to go. So I'm hoping that she can pull it back a little bit, continue to be smart, continue to work in the shadows, and obviously be her marvelous self to us when she talks to the camera and do some damage. I want to bring up Chardude's comment here. Thank you so much for the $2. We really appreciate it. Chardude asks, do you think Luke will get voted out as a threat? Tom, what do you think?
Oh, it's hard to say. I think they'll keep him in. Like, there's no need to like murder him. That's for sure. And like you said before, and I think he'll survive a bit now that Guyton's gone. Like, both of them were drawing so much heat. But I think by the end of next episode, there'll be one or two people who are in the hot seat more so than Luke, similar to how Sarah was in the hot seat in the first episode, and now like no one's going to get rid of her now. Yeah,
she slipped into the background.
Yeah, did a good job at it. Yeah, but
and also if the whole thing happened in the next episode where Luke does sniff out Sam, it's going to give him so much credibility in the game where people are going to be like, well, it could be then that the traitors say, well, we got to deal with him at some stage because he's going to get powerful. We just can't do it immediately afterwards. But it's also going to give him some credibility, I think, with the faithfuls, where people are going to be like, I think the higher likelihood is there personally that Luke is going to get banished by the rest of the house at some stage than what it is for the traitors to take him out right now, unless he does end up becoming a traitor hunter like he said early in the season. If that happens, then maybe he becomes a threat down the line. But clearly, I think he's a weapon that they can use within the game right now. He's going to be there for a little bit longer still at this stage in the game. Let's talk a little bit about the second challenge, Kahuna, because there was a lot going on in the second challenge. We had two boats going out there to get puzzle pieces. They had to build
only one boat came back.
Puzzle. Only one boat came back. What the hell happened there? And what was Blake doing? Explain it to me, mate. That's the one traitor we haven't spoken about yet. And I feel like that is probably why he's also doing the best job at being a traitor so far, because people are forgetting about Blake out there.
Blake, I don't know. Like, we didn't get to see any insight as to how the decisions were made as to who the two rowers are and the runners and the builders and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure.
Looking at Blake, what gave people the impression? Like, what gives people the impression this guy's going to be a good rower?
So weird. Unless he somehow asked for it or navigated his way into it for some reason. It's like I said, if this was like, I know we haven't talked about it, but I think you said we may in upcoming shows, the mole. The mole has to sabotage the challenges.
Yeah.
Like their job and it all. I was watching going, wait a second. Did they sabotage on this? Because Blake is doing a hell of a job right now. Like, I was like, as a traitor, is he trying to ruin the challenge? What is going on? That was fascinating to watch. He was like falling backwards, sunk the whole thing. And then the fact that they even caught up and were actually in the fight to build by pushing the blocks manually through the water. was pretty impressive. I think Blake is a great character, a lot of fun. He added to that, even with his incompetence, it made it funny and great TV moment to see a sinking ship. Like when I was watching it and I took my notes, I actually wrote something like copying Titanic, and then I was stoked to find later in the episode Roger mentioned it in the Banishment that they were doing the Titanic copying acts there, Rose and Jack. So look, I have no idea. I don't know why you would select him. I don't know why even some of them, like even the builders and stuff. I was like, he's clearly like put him on the build. Like what's happening here? I don't know why. Like, but it was fun to watch. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it was entertaining to watch. I will say, as a positive, obviously his challenge performance has not been good. But if I had to put money down right now on who is the most likely trader to survive until the end, I feel like Blake has got that ability. You know, there's something about him. I know none of you really watch Big Brother either, but he gives me like Derek vibes from Big Brother 16, I believe, that won that season, where he also had a hoodie. He was an undercover cop, very low key. Had a way of blending in with a crowd. But I mean, Derek had a really good strategy and a strategic game that I don't know if Blake still has it in him. But, you know, Blake making a move on Angelica in the first, murder, the moving someone off the game, please, YouTube, let us slide that one in there. You know, making that move on Angelica was a good move. Yeah, it was a good move.
Too. Yeah.
Yeah, because everybody was
seems
guessing.
to be leading the traders. Seems to be like dictating their choices.
Yeah, and then also on Elias, that was his move as well.
Yeah.
You know, so he has been able to get his way up until this point, which is impressive because both Ash and Sam are big characters, and Sam clearly wants to play his own game, and Sam could have chosen where he wanted to go with his target, and he chose Ash over Blake as a trader he would sacrifice. So Blake just seems to be, Tom, in the best position right now for all of the traders in the game.
I think so. And can I just say, like, when they're doing the epic walk up with the three traders in their like gowns and masks, like you see Ash and old mate unmask, and they sort of look like traders and backstabbers. But then Blake pulls his, and you just got the glasses, the short guy with the big beard, and he's just like, "Oh hi, I kill people too," No, he's a great pick for a trader because I think he's one of the last people in the cast you'd expect to actually be one. 100%.
Yeah, just doesn't scream, that just doesn't give you that vibe, but the opposing team, they do end up giving a life raft literally to the losing team here in Luke's team so that they could still try and finish this puzzle, which was great to see because at the end of the day it still does come down to the money. Mucky, did you think that there was any shot in hell that Luke was going to be able to pull this one off coming back from behind? Because I mean, we know that Luke is not bad at challenges, he's not bad at puzzles and Survivor. Did you think that he could do it here in this episode, and were you as gutted as me when he just couldn't pull it off?
Well, there's actually a challenge in Big Brother where he was facing off against one other guy and they had to build these blocks like really hard, but the blocks were light, and I think his set of blocks fell like twice because I think he was like scared of heights or something. He kept falling off and the blocks kept falling off, but he still came back and still won the challenge, despite him falling off and his blocks falling twice compared to the other guy where his stuff never fell over once. So I was really hoping. I did find it quite funny how Luke was like low-key single-handedly swimming all the way out there, pushing all the blocks to like Blake and then bring it all the way back ashore. But it was close though. It was like they're only a few blocks away from actually winning the challenge. So I thought there was a chance, but yeah, they were just so far behind with that one, unfortunately.
So obviously they don't get all the money. They get 32,000 here instead of the full bag. But again, this is where the anticlimactic part of the show comes in for me, because I feel like at some point down the line, they're going to be able to make up that money from memory on the previous shows. They always get an opportunity to make back the money to earn what they rightfully would earn at the end. So unless they make it a thing where you're going to actually earn less money, I still have like a little bit, I don't know why it is. It's my OCD brain that just kicks in where I'm like, there needs to be more to the challenge. But they do go back to the armory and we get Simone, the wrestling girl. She gets for a second time in a row, like it's like a magnet. The only thing I'll say is her luck may run out, and it may run out at the point where she really needs it. Right now, she's not on anybody's radar. She's getting the shields. It's all coming up good for her. But down the line in the season, she might not be as lucky when it comes to this. But this is the episode where Sam goes to work really hard. He tries to get this vote moved off, Guy. But for some other reason, he just can't get the numbers together because Luke is a counterforce. Luke's starting to get in trouble. People are thinking about Luke as a potential option here. And we see a lot of Luke talking to a lot of people right here. And somehow he turns it around on Guy. Now, is this something that you think is going to come back to look bad on Luke? Because he went so hard on going for Guy where he was under fire, where people could still look at this kahuna and say, well, he tried to deflect, and clearly he is the traitor. Is there a downside for him in this next episode?
I mean, there always is the potential for that. Like, as I said before, we don't know that they have a lot of solid reasoning so far. So when the reasoning was Elias is gone, Guyton must have done it, the next logical one is, well, Guyton was a faithful and Luke called him out, so it must be Luke. Like, that's when you're using that rudimentary logic process, that's also the next rudimentary toddler, 8-year-old logic step, right? Well, Luke was wrong on Guyton. He must be a traitor. Like, there's the potential that he could definitely be in trouble here. But the fact that the Guyton vote was actually 15, I think it was 15-1-1, the vote count.
Wow. Yeah.
So the fact it was 15-1-1. So that's either Luke being the most influential person ever and pulling people on that side through his conversations and through the banishment talk pitch, or a lot of people had Guyton in their sights as well because of the Elias call out and all that sort of thing. So, and being an actor, apparently that's enough. So I think he's going to be okay because there were so many people in on it. It wasn't like him necessarily dictating it, because some people even said the ghost of, I think it was Blake actually, so maybe it doesn't count because he's a traitor, but basically saying the ghost of Elias haunts us still. Like, it's what Elias said that dictated what I'm doing today versus Luke got us on side when he was clearly wrong. So I don't know how that's going to play out.
Now, towards the end of this, we had a really big reaction from Annabelle. Like, she was in tears when Guy ended up going home, Tom. And I know this would infuriate you as someone that really wanted Guy to stay in the game. Like, was the tears a little bit too late? And, looking at that, what did you think about the fact that this game seems to be emotionally and psychologically so draining on certain players while they're out there, to the point where Hannah had to tell her, that he's not actually dying. This is a game, right?
Yeah, like when I saw her crying, I was like, "Oh, really? You died in for like 3 days?" But like that's something I've never understood, like on Survivor and Traitors now as well. Like when people like look so emotional, it makes me kind of feel like dead inside, because I feel like if that was me in that position, I would just be like, everyone else is like, "Oh no, oh, the Traitors are still out there," and I'd just be like, oh, "That's a shame." All right, but like I just don't get how like over emotional they are. But anyway, like I think yeah, too little, too late. If I saw someone crying because they voted me out, I'm like, well, maybe don't be an 8-year-old with your thinking and solve this problem. Clearly, it's Ash or Sam, who's the traitor, not me. Yeah. So
yeah, and this is an interesting one as well that Andre's bringing up. He's saying Guy got voted out after Ash slipped up saying she was a traitor, because she said, talking to the traitors or something like that, which it clearly shows like the game is next level. Because, I listened to, again, this is talking about someone you guys don't really know. Kahuna knows Cody Calafuri's brother, Poli Calafuri, but Cody is a winner of Big Brother All-Stars. He's made it to the end twice in Big Brother. In my opinion, one of the best players to play Big Brother. I know a lot of people don't like it because he voted out a lot of their favorites in All-Stars, and because of that, people don't like Cody that much, but he's a great player. And he went to go play Traitors in the US and really said that psychologically and emotionally, it drained him so much more than Big Brother. And with him, it was the fact that he was a traitor and he had to hide that fact that he was a traitor. And it really got to him. And he said that this game he felt like was psychologically next level. So I feel like it's one of those things where we haven't been out there. We haven't experienced it yet. It's from the side. I'm like you, Tom. I look at it and I'm like, I can't relate. I feel like I would be stone cold and be like one step closer to the end. But if you're out there, you probably form real relationships with people. You probably do get close to them. In a certain way. I would like to believe I wouldn't, but you don't know until you're out there how you're going to react. And I want to bring up this comment because Andre is saying, I love Hannah for that comment. And he says, we need to see Annabelle versus Hannah for the rest of the season. Now, I've got a feeling that none of you have watched Below Deck, but I have, because I actually really enjoy that type of show, like where it's about yachts and sailing. Like I just went on a cruise not that long ago, boys. Like I like the finer things in life. Okay, I like going out and eating,
Mr. 1%.
But Hannah's a massive character. Like you guys just wait. Like Kate, who was also a head stewardess, who also
That's weird, that they did that.
And she had like issues with Kate, and some of this they blew up. Like to see Hannah come on this one, like she's gonna deliver. She hasn't delivered yet. She's about to blow up in the coming episodes. Kahuna, have you seen Below Deck? Have you seen Hannah in action? Because she can be a lot.
I've not. But I was like, wait, did they just copy they got the same person from the Australian version, hoping to replicate the same drama? Maybe, I don't know, because
and there are similarities.
There was
a
lot of drama. Yeah, that was good in the US version. So if that's what she brings to this season, then it's going to be great. Yeah, for sure.
It's coming. She's just. It takes a little bit more to get Hannah there, but she's like a good diesel engine. When she warms up and she starts running, no one's going to stop her. I'm telling you now, you guys are in for a treat when Hannah starts. If the Hannah versus Annabelle, but I mean, I feel like Annabelle's not really coming at Hannah directly, not yet in any case. But if the claws come out, this could be very entertaining to watch. We had Rachel Riley and Kate in Traitors US. Could this be a Rachel Riley versus Kate 2.0 here for Traitors Australia? We can only hope that people are starting to watch the show a little bit more so that we can see the ratings go up and that the show continue on here in Australia, because it's a lot of fun to watch so far. I'm going to come over to you, Kahuna. I feel like we've spoken about a lot. What's the obvious points here? You also had a couple of notes there. Is there something I missed out on that you feel like we needed to address or talk about a little bit before we sort of close things off here with this week's action for Traitors?
No, I think we've covered all the big hits. Like everything that I sort of gotten, we've sort of gone over, and I've peppered in some of the bits that I wanted to put in there as well. The kiddies.
I wanted to add this.
Yep.
I didn't want to add this. Camille and Keith both being, Keith, previous undercover cop, interesting background. You'd think he'd do well at something like this. And then Camille also obviously being Australian Federal Police or something like that, kind of like a 007 being out there. Tom, it's not looking good for the Australian, police force. They seem to always get L's on these reality shows when they come on, and they just don't seem to be able to get it together. Like, should I lose faith in the police force over there?
I don't know if I should comment on this. My sister's a police officer, and in our family we have this thing, like we all believe we would be the best on Survivor and do the best, and
right.
I definitely think she would get voted out in like very early. So I don't know, maybe it is a police officer thing, but I also hope no police officers are watching this, because I don't want to get
no, if they are, we're team
something.
Police all the way. Team police all the way. Camille keeps doing a great job so far. But it was fun to see them completely be snowed at this point and on the wrong track. And Camille and Keith, like I think it was Keith specifically, they also started talking about him because in the previous season there was an older guy, Nigel, who was the traitor. So the only really old guy this season is Keith, Kahuna. So maybe that brings a little bit of fire his way as well.
Yeah, I like Keith. I think he's going to go well. Like, earlier in the episode, in the podcast, I was saying how they all seem to be this trope, like almost fictional, like they're not real. And Keith, he goes, I'm retired, I just do whatever I do. And he made a funny joke about 250,000 buying a boat named Happiness. And the fact that, the retired police officer is the gray-haired, cardigan-wearing, again, that stereotypical trope of just this kindly old gentleman who's hiding something under the surface, which is great. And Camille as well, the mother of 3. But they're kind of picking up on each other because I think Keith said like she's the mother of 3, but I'm getting something more than that. And they must be getting like, I guess it's like Gator, like if there's cop vibes or something, like they see the way they carry themselves or something. I don't know.
That's why they don't trust each other.
It's cop phrenology. They've got like the same skull.
That happened with Tony and Sarah Lucina and Survivor.
Yeah,
same thing. They sniffed each other out, or more so, Sarah Lucina sniffed out that Tony was a cop and he was lying about it. But it's going to be interesting. I can't wait to see how that plays out. It's probably one of the last things I didn't touch on. But Artie here is asking: is Hannah as explosive as Kate? Yes. Like, honestly, do yourself a favor. Watch the seasons with Hannah and Kate both on the same season, where Kate's the main steward. She's the head steward, and Hannah's the up-and-coming one. And the explosiveness of having both of them on the same yacht, living in very close proximity to each other, it was pure drama gold. And I don't normally like the trashy drama type of stuff, but this was fun to watch because both Kate and Hannah, they've got like a way with words. So they can insult each other in a very funny and smart way and talk at a certain level, which is very entertaining to watch. But yes, she is just as explosive as Kate. She can definitely deliver this season. So I'm very, very happy to see her on. Andre saying Keith and Camille bust ups as Keith is suspicious of her, which we've just addressed. Jonathan, does Camille get heat for bringing up the potential Ash blindside? Yeah, I think they kind of alluded to that, right, Kahuna, towards the end, where Camille might get a little bit of heat as well. But Sam is definitely going to get the most. Like, we already saw that in the upcoming episode.
She might get it for snitching, but she wasn't the initiator of it. So I don't think Ash is going to be aiming at her, more asking who was it kind of thing. And we see in the coming up for next episode that, the Ash and Sam thing is heading to a very, very sticky end, I think, potentially even the next episode. So that'll be interesting to see.
Andrea here says, and yes, the old guy in Traitors Australia season 1 lost that season. So is there a reason why they're highlighting him in episode 2? And then Andrea Lee says, yes, it was. So I think we're on the same page there, Andre, as well. Mucky, any final thoughts there from your end? Final thoughts on how both Traitors seasons are stacking up so far? You know, how are you doing? Are you surviving like mentally watching both of these shows at the same time? And I'm very impressed. You haven't had the names mixed up so far.
No. You know, you see, it's because unlike you guys, I'm a professional. All right. I don't get my shows mixed up. As Andre would know, it's no longer the nullified take on the New Zealand Traitors. It's the mucky takeover, the TMT. So I don't get any names mixed up because I'm the real G. I'm the top stuff. But no, I'm really enjoying it, and I think it's like both the shows have got terrific casting, like 10 out of 10 casting. There isn't a single dud, and it's funny because even with the New Zealand one, they've got like celebrity casting, but all of them are still so entertaining to watch as well. So where sometimes in Australian Survivor they have celebrities, but they're more boring than a paper bag, right? So it's it's just interesting in terms of casting. But I feel like both the Traitors have got the casting nailed on the head, or on the wall, I should say. YouTube, please don't hurt us. But it's great. Yeah, I'm really enjoying both the Traitors.
Andre Lee here with the question of all questions as we're starting to close off this podcast. And I think it's only right that we get the newbie on the show to answer this. Tom, who do you think is going next? This is going to be Ash or Sam?
I think Sam's definitely having a flame out. You can see like they're trying to squeeze as much out of him as possible before he goes, I reckon. I think Ash, if Ash wasn't the one to go first, they would probably give her more time. But no, the way Sam's playing, I love to see it. It's great. And I hope he stays as long as possible, but no, he's got no shot, surely.
So Tom, if Sam does go next, who do you think is going to be the best option for the Traitors to recruit? Because how it works in the Traitors is that there's always 3 Traitors. So if one gets taken out, the 2 Traitors that are in the game, they're going to be able to invite another player that's currently a faithful to become a Traitor. Who do you think would be the best suited person right now to join the team of Traitors out there?
Gee, I was wondering what happened once like the traders left. I think maybe someone who's already had their heat like thrown onto them, like Sarah perhaps, Sarah or Luke, someone who's like already gone through the ring of fire.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting one. So how does it happen at the end then? Like if there's 3 traders the entire way, what happens at the very end of the show? If there's
So they get to a point in the game where, if I remember correctly, there's about six or seven players left. There's a final point in the game where they have to vote until there's only a set amount of players left, like 4 players left in the game. They have to keep voting someone out. So going into that section of the game with 3 traders, if there's, say, 6 players left in the game, would mean that it's a 3-3 vote. The traders at that point could easily, stalemate some of the votes. It's never happened so far as I remember. But they have to then banish people in the game to say, I think you're still a traitor. And it could be 1 person that wins, 4 people that win, 3 people that win. But you've got to make the decision to say, collectively, you believe that there is no traitors left in the game. And at that point, the final reveal gets made to say, yes, there's a traitor left or not. So out of the 3 seasons that I've watched, only 1 season the Faithfuls won. 2 of the 3 seasons the traitors won, because it's that much harder for you to be able to pick out who the traitors are, because they've got all the power in the game. And because, like I said, there is less opportunity for traitors to actually give their game away, unless there is Sam, who very badly wants to play this hard, which is great for us as people that watch the show, but I don't know if it's necessarily effective at the end game. Another one that I want to throw in there for consideration is, I would consider putting someone in there. Like, I think you mentioned a few people there already. That's good choices. Like, Luke, it would be insane to see him as a traitor, and also big target. So people will go for him before they come for you in the game. So again, you're getting another life ahead of you. And then Annabelle, I think, is playing very hard. She's shown to be very smart. I think those 2 players both could make excellent traders. And then another person that's sort of starting to get on people's radar is Paul. A lot of people have been saying, well, Paul could be a trader. Like, he's someone that could do extremely well. But I also think Paul could, potentially go deep in this game, because he's a very likable guy. So a couple of people there that I wouldn't mind seeing become traders in the future. Kahuna, you've got the mic here. Any final thoughts on traders this first week before we close things off?
No, it's good. I loved it. I'm fully into the season. I love the whole pageantry of it, the social aspect, the psychological aspect of it. It's a great show, and I'm pleased to have joined you all for episode 1. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, Kahuna, we will have you back for the next 2 weeks, because Tom, sadly, unless things change, Tom, you're always welcome back. If things change, we'd rather have you here than not. Tom's busy in the next 2 weeks. He's already dropping us. He's already becoming the true trader amongst faithfuls here in the next 2 weeks.
I'll definitely make sure, if I get home early enough the next 2 weeks, I'll jump on the final 5 minutes to give my sneaky Steve take.
Yeah, so we'll have Kahuna. We'll have Kahuna back.
Baby.
Ooh.
Yeah, we'll have Kahuna back for those. And this is the first time we've ever done a 4-person podcast here as well. I thought it went pretty well. So let us know in the comments below. Would you like to see all 4 of us back for more episodes in the future? It's the first time we did such a big podcast, but I had a lot of fun talking here about the traders in this first week. Thank you for everybody here that was with us in the live. Char Dude, RD, Andre Lee, Jonathan, really appreciate you taking part in the conversation here tonight as well. And hopefully next week we'll have a few more people, because we will be back every week at the same time, same place, 9 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. That's Sydney and Melbourne time. And we will be back to talk about next week's action, and we'll continue to cover the show until the end. But if you're new to the channel, if this is the first time you've stumbled across us, we're doing great things here. We're adding more people, young bucks like Tom to the show. We want to bring more and more of the coverage, especially for Australian TV as well, to the show. So the only way that we know that you love this content and that you would like for us to do more is by you subscribing to the channel. It does help us get the message out there that we're doing this content. So please consider subscribing. We're very close to 2,000. I believe we're about 60 or so subscribers away. And then when we get to 2,000, I've got the headache of figuring out what we're going to do to celebrate it, because that was a big sort of milestone that I wanted to achieve here this year. And I'm excited for that. We've got some great projects coming up as well for Australian Survivor. So, stay tuned towards the end of the year. We may get some heavy hitter, other YouTubers doing a season ranking with us. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to, and we'll probably see a lot of these familiar faces on those podcasts in the future as well. But for now, have a good night and stay safe. We'll catch you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.